One of the questions I get asked the most is how to replicate those nice, silky smooth skin tones that you see all the time on magazine covers and different things like that. Well, it's actually a very easy process, and with the new innovation of smart filters here inside of Photoshop CS3, it's really never been easier. So I'm going to go ahead now. We'll close this image up. I'm going to say don't save this image. I'm going to navigate back to the Adobe bridge here, and I'm going to come into my project files folder, and I'm going to select roxanastan.jpg right there. I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to zoom in quite a bit on this image here, probably to about 100%, just so we have a better idea of what we're working with. And what I want to do is I want to take her skin tones and I want to smooth them out. Now, the first thing I need to do is obviously recognize that there are some blemishes up here. So what I'm going to do is just get rid of those really quick using the spot healing brush. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to create a new layer first of all. I'll make sure sample all layers is turned on. And I'm just going to come in here and I'll zap out a few of these different areas that are blemishes here. Once I've gotten all of those out of the way, I'm ready now to start smoothing these skin tones. Now, she has a fairly good complexion to start out with, but it's really lacking that nice, silky smooth, almost plastic type feel that you see all the time in major publications. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this and we're going to merge these two together, but we're not going to do it in the way you think we're going to do it. We're not going to merge these together into one raster image. We're going to shift click to select both of these images at the same time, and then I'm going to control click on the Mac or right click on the PC and choose convert to smart object. Now, the reason I did that is so that I can maintain my original photograph and also maintain all of those little edits that I made so that I can take those away at any given time. So always remember, don't merge your layers together. Flatten is really Photoshop's F word, if you want to take it that way. You cannot use flatten anymore. That's just not good practice at all. Always convert into smart objects to maintain the editability for later on. That's just something, a little pearl of wisdom that I want to pass along to everybody, because now with these smart filters and smart objects, the possibilities are really endless, and you always want to be able to get back to your original file in case you need that original image to do some sort of future editing. So that being said, let's go ahead now and we'll continue with this because we've converted this to a smart object. Now we're ready to start running smart filters on it. So I'm going to come up here to the filter menu. I'm going to choose blur, and under the blur menu I'm going to select surface blur. Now, surface blur is a very effective tool for smoothing skin tones. As you can see here, it did a really great job of smoothing out all of those areas of her skin. However, it's also affecting areas that I don't want it to. For instance, it's affecting the hair, it's affecting the chair that she's sitting in, it's affecting her lips, all these different defining lines that I really need to be in there. It's really messing those up. So what I can do, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. By the way, my radius and threshold are set to 5 and 15 for this particular image here. So radius of 5, threshold of 15. Then I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And once I do that, I get this new smart filter layer here in the layers panel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the smart filter mask right here, and I'm going to invert that by using Command or Control I. Now when I do that, I'll get back the look of my original image because I'm hiding the effects of that smart filter that I ran there. Now we're going to do this just like we did earlier. We're going to brush back in the areas that we want to smooth. So what we're going to do, let me zoom back out so you can get a better look at the entire image here. I'm going to select the brush tool. You can do that simply by hitting the B key on your keyboard. I'm going to increase the size of the brush just a little bit, maybe to about 100 pixels. I'm also going to switch my foreground color to white, and I'm going to decrease my opacity to about 50%. So just do that by hitting the 5 key on your keyboard. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start brushing in some smoother skin tones here on this lady's face. So when I do this, I'm being careful to avoid all of the defining lines. For instance, I'm staying away from the lips, I'm staying away from the edges of the nose and the eyes, and I'm also staying away from her hair and the chair that she's sitting in. Because all I want to do is smooth out the general skin tones, these broad areas, just to give her almost that porcelain type complexion when I'm finished. So I'm also going to do that for the rest of her down here as well, on her shoulders and arms, because there's definitely some texture issues down in here. So if I smooth those out, this should give the overall photograph a much better appearance. So I'm going to smooth these areas out just by brushing in with that 50% opacity brush, and this is very, very easy to do, and it requires really little to no skill whatsoever. Simply just a brush stroke. And if you have a Wacom tablet that you're using, this would be even better, because you can control the pressure sensitivity of how you're applying this blur. And once I get all of this brushed in like I like it, I'll go ahead and show you a before and after. Let me pan back up just a little bit here. You'll notice here that my Smart Filter mask has several areas where I've painted, so I get a live update of exactly what that looks like. And if I show you here, here is a quick before and after. You probably won't be able to see it from this zoom percentage here, but if I zoom in quite a bit here, here's before and after. So you can see just how powerful a tool this is for smoothing skin tones, and how you can truly get that nice magazine and advertising type feel for your skin tones here inside of Photoshop.